The Philippines is a Catholic-majority archipelago country located in the west of the South China Sea. It is known for a few things here and there: Jollibee, Manny Pacquiao, competitive karaoke, and half of Bruno Mars. What a lot of people don't know is that the southern island of the country, Mindanao, is home to a Muslim-majority Moro Filipino people, who don't really enjoy being Filipino. Despite being culturally and religiously different from the majority of the Philippines, the Mindanao Island was integrated into the new established republic in 1946. Of course, there was some resistance towards this decision, but the Moros accepted this reality, until the government started sponsoring transmigration of Catholics from different islands to Mindanao. Natural resources from the island were taken by the central government, with very little going back to the Moros. Essentially, the Moros became marginalized on their own island and were left behind by the rest of the country in terms of development. Understandably upset, the traditional Muslim leaders of Mindanao decided to do something about it. This was led by Dato' Utok Matalam when he created the Muslim independence movement in 1968. The MIM sought to secede from the Philippines. The movement only lasted 5 months, as it ended with Matalam calling it quits by selling out to the government after receiving a fake job from President Marcos. Unsatisfied with the anticlimactic end, previous followers of the MIM rallied behind the Moro National Liberation Front and its founder, Nur Misauri. The MNLF also set a goal of creating an independent state. They resorted to kidnapping, boatjacking, hijacking, and jack-offing to achieve their goals. They engaged in armed conflict against the government and wreaked havoc on the region. A series of peace deals was signed between the government and MNLF. This granted Mindanao with more regional autonomy. Nur Misauri and his followers were willing to settle for this. Those who weren't decided to break away to create the Moro Islamic Liberation Front in 1948. It had more religiously motivated goals compared to the MNLF. This split organization, to this day, is led by Murad Ibrahim. By 1996, a landmark peace agreement was signed by the MNLF and the Philippine government, which established the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao, with Nur as its governor. His administration was fairly peaceful, until he led a rebellion against the Philippine government in November 2001. No idea why he'd do such a thing. He was arrested for this, but eventually released due to lack of evidence. By the way, while all of this was going on, the MILF was doing the exact same thing. Here's a list for anyone who's curious. They resorted to violence until they too signed a peace deal in 2004 and settled for semi-autonomy. The peace deal contained agreements that would ensure both parties would follow BBL, which resulted in the ARMM to be replaced by Bangsamoro, a political entity with more regional autonomy and political participation from the Moros. There were some among the ranks of MILF that were unhappy because its leadership was willing to be mature and negotiate. This caused them to splinter off to create their own militant organizations, the BIFF and Maute Group. These groups were condemned by the Philippine government, but also the MNLF and the MILF, for pledging allegiance to ISIS. With the strengthening of ISIS during the mid-2010s, so did the actions of these groups. They would expand their operations in a more violent manner, with its peak reaching at the siege of Marawi. It was a 5-month campaign from the Philippine military against the combined forces of Maute and Abu Sayyaf that placed Marawi on a lockdown and declared the city a caliphate. Both sides suffered heavy losses, with stats showing that it was the toughest urban battle in the Philippines since the Second World War. Fortunately, the conflict ended, with the coalition's leadership getting 360 no-scoped. Since then, conflict in Mindanao have been minimal, although there still is a wave of suspicion and hostility between the government and the armed groups. But honestly, if white people can make it out alive with vlogs, that's good enough for me. Today, Nur Misauri is serving as a special envoy on Islamic affairs for the Philippine government, and Murad Ibrahim is the final boss of the Bangsamoro. So hopefully, the region can maintain its peace. Moral of the story is, don't break away from your original group for compromising its values. You'll either end up dead or end up doing the same thing anyway.